a lot of times what determines what I'm going to end up making for dinner is sometimes, well, it's the mood I'm in, you know, what I want to eat. But a lot of times it's based on the price, right, of some of the protein that I can get. $6.64. Sometimes I get $1 cheaper, but that's pretty good for a chicken like this. So I said, you know something, let's make something with a chicken. I didn't know what I was going to make. But after I saw it, I said, you know what I'm going to make? I'm going to make tortilla soup. And I can do that because I'm awesome like that. So that's why in this video, I'm going to show you how to make tortilla soup. Now, when you end up buying a chicken, this is a chicken. Inside this chicken, if you look inside there, you ain't going to find a baby. I hope not. You're going to find gizzards and hearts and all sorts of stuff, okay? So what you want to do is you want to take the chicken. I'm going to leave this chunk on there because that's going to be flavor for the broth. But you want to get inside there, take out things like the neck and everything like that, put this on in a different container, save it. You can use that for all sorts of cool stuff. I'm not going to show you what I'm going to use that for in this video, but I'm going to take all that stuff out. Verify that the inside has been cleaned out. I'm going to run this under cold water. Look for any feathers that might have been missed during the processing. Take those out. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to end up throwing this inside a big ass pot. But take out all the stuff that's inside there first. All of these things I can make some good stuff out of, and it might seem gross to some people, but this is good eats if you know what you're doing, but that's for a different video. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over and look at the bird that I had just cleaned up, double checked with some of the feathers. You might see some stuff that looks like very fine hairs. You might not be able to pull them out. Don't worry about that type of stuff. But if it bothers you, whatever. You can get pliers and try to pull it out or whatever. But generally I don't save the skin anyway, and then that stuff will come up with the skin, or it'll dissolve because it's usually made out of keratin from what I recall. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at what I got in the pot. So in the pot, we've got our bird, and we are going to be making our chicken broth. And I'm putting a decent amount of salt in this right now. Now, it's probably actually not going to be enough salt, but I don't want to overdo the salt. You can easily overdo it. So I'm putting enough to kind of give me a good base. And right there, I might have put maybe a teaspoon of salt, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon, something like that. Now, I'm going to end up putting the other stuff inside here that I'm going to need in order to do this right. And one of them is going to be bay leaf because we are making a soup. And something like this, sometimes they come broken up and everything. You know, I'm going to frick it. I'm going to do that. That's how much. And those are either going to, like that small piece probably going to disintegrate or something, but these will pull out later down the line, so that's not that big of a deal. I'm going to end up adding, because I'm creating a cool broth here, man. I'm going to add a little bit of smoked paprika. Okay, I'm not going to add too much of the smoked paprika. I'm just going to add a little bit there. And then now I've got regular paprika that I'm going to be adding. I don't know why they always put those on there. I never use that. And man, I know it looks like I put a lot, but we're making a tortilla soup, so yeah, of course we're going to be putting a lot. Okay. What else we're going to put in here? We're going to put oregano. And you're going to find a lot of Mexican food, it's a lot of oregano. That's about right. Okay. Let's see, what else are we going to put inside here? We're going to put some crushed red pepper. Just for a little bit of heat. Now obviously you can make this, this is about how much I'm going to put in there. You can make it as hot as you want. A little heat ain't going to hurt nobody. Well, it might hurt some people, but it ain't going to hurt me. Cumin. Alright, so check this out. Now, listen. A lot of times people go to the store and they go and they look for the McCormick, like, what is it? I think it's like this one. Like this. This is what they're looking for, like for seasoning. This stuff is expensive. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing special about it. You go to it's usually on the end cap. Like it's usually on the end of an aisle or something where they've got the Mexican seasoning. This stuff you get a whole bunch of for like $1, right? I don't know why people don't buy this. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. But we're going to add cumin to this, okay? And I don't know, that's about maybe a teaspoon and a half. I go by the smell of it and by the appearance. I can't, a lot of times when I'm cooking, I can't really tell you. exactly how much I add. So right here we've got some chili powder. Now this chili powder does not have the garlic and onion and stuff in it. This is just straight up ground chili, okay? And this one I'm going to go by how it looks. I need more. Okay, so let's grab this one. This is a different chili powder. The first one was a New Mexico. Well, this one's a California, which basically means it's probably overtaxed. But there we go. That's probably good, and I can always add more later. It's not a big deal. So if you really like heat, you can take a little cayenne or something. Give it a couple of hits of cayenne. Not a big deal. Okay. If you want to add black pepper to this, you can. I cannot have black pepper. Okay, so I'm not going to be adding it to this. If you want to put garlic powder, you can. Okay, but I can't. I can't have garlic, I can't have onion, I can't have black pepper. So those things I'm going to leave out of this. Now, a little bit later down the line, we would actually end up putting, if you're going to make this the normal way, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the way that I'm making this. You will not miss the onion, you will not miss the garlic, okay? You can add more garlic and add onion to this if you want a little bit later on down the line, okay? Maybe like a half of an onion or a whole onion. It just depends on how much that you like in your food. Garlic, maybe a couple of cloves. But honestly, the way that I make it, it's not necessary, but it does add flavor, okay? So if you're one that really likes garlic and really likes onions, go for it. You can do it now if you want. You could put it in here now, or you could fry it on the side, like saute it on the side, and then just pour it in a little bit later if you want to. Either way, it's not going to hurt. If you boil it now, the onion a lot of it's going to disintegrate along with the garlic, and it's going to permeate, and it's going to have a little bit of a different flavor. Hey, whatever. It doesn't make a difference to me. If I could put it in, I would, but I can't. Okay, so we've got this, and now I'm going to end up, and interesting, there's going to be some more stuff I'm going to add to it, but I'm not going to do it until a little bit later. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill this full of water to cover up the chicken, and I'm going to boil this until the chicken is almost ready to fall off the bone. If you want to put this in a pressure cooker, you can, but pressure cookers take away a little bit of the flavor. There's some recipes out there, some people will tell you, oh, it only takes 35 minutes. Not if you're doing it right. That's probably good. I do go by smell more than I go by recipe and measurements. And recipes, measurements, and everything are fantastic, but I find that really it's just not adequate. I mean, you've got to go by your smell and experience too. Because you learn after a while exactly how much salt is about right for a particular volume of like chicken or whatever. And that salt that I originally put in, this is a soup. So this thing, I mean, it's all that salt is just within this whole thing. Plus it's going to permeate the meat and stuff. I probably didn't put enough in. But like I said before, it's much better to put too little and then later on down the line just put more in there to make it work for you than put too much. Putting too much is a very bad thing. There's ways that you can fix that, but that's a different video. But now we're in a state, I just turned the fire down, and now because I don't want this to boil so much it starts coming out of the lid, but we want to keep this at a light boil, okay, at a light boil, and we're going to keep this for probably about 2 hours, and occasionally check on it. If it runs out of water, we'll add a little bit more, and as soon as the meat is basically ready to fall off the bone, that's when we know we can pull it out, and we'll continue what we're doing. So let's go ahead and take the lid off here. Sorry about all that steam that you got hit with. Let's see if we can lift this guy up. I got to be really careful because sometimes this thing will tear apart and just land in the water. This is getting ready to fall apart. It's really close to that point. I can tell. So, oh, cool. One of the bay leaves came out with the chicken, so I don't have to look for it. Good. And you'll see that we got tons of flavor. We got the fat in there, so we got our chicken broth. We got all that stuff. I'm going to take a spoon and taste this to see if we have enough salt. You always want to stir it to mix up, because a lot of times that fat will get on the top and you'll just get a big mouthful of fat. Right? So that's not bad. And of course, like I said earlier, if you wanted to put like some garlic and onion, you can. This is just, you know, what I'm doing here. So this is going to be strange. Now, you can put a can of creamed corn in this, and it will add a lot of flavor. Okay, no doubt it will. But what I'm going to be doing, or you can add hominy. This is masa. Okay, this is corn flour. And corn flour, or masa, however you want to call it, okay, is corn that has been hit with lime. So essentially it's hominy. It's hominy, because that's all hominy really is. It's just a corn that's been hit with lime. And this will not only help thicken it, but it ends up kind of giving it a little bit of a corn flavor. You can put, did I just see another bay leaf in there? Could have sworn I just saw one. But you can add a can of corn. And honestly, creamed corn is best if you're going to add it. Creamed corn. Needs salt. Needs oregano. We're going to put parsley in this. Cilantro, or cilantro, depending on what part of the world you come from, I suppose. Some people call this coriander. Same thing. For me, coriander is the seed of cilantro, but basically it's, you want to kind of just use the leaf, because the stems can be a little bitter. So basically you just kind of take all that crap off of there. If you get a little bit of stem in there, don't worry about it. You'll live. Let me get rid of these. Ordinarily I'd add more cilantro, but I'm taking this from my backyard and I only have so much. So it is what it is, right? Let me heat this up a little bit. And it's really important that anytime you're making a soup or something, that you keep tasting it. You know, you add stuff, you taste it. You add stuff, you taste it. Now I'm going to be putting white corn in this, okay? But like I said, cream corn I think actually works better. This is optional, just like the corn is optional, but I'm going to be putting crushed tomatoes in this. Okay, now we got to bring this back up to temperature. Okay, and I'm going to be adding something that you're going to think is a little strange. Okay, but this is just the way that I do stuff. This is the way I roll. Okay, and I'm going to be adding whole green chilies. Okay, these are really mild, but they disintegrate in the stew. So you don't. I mean, just me trying to pull these things out of here makes them disintegrate. So in my hand. So, and then these are. I'm just buying generic ones. Okay, but this adds a lot of flavor to your soup. Okay, so green chili city, baby. Now I've got some frozen peppers here. These are just regular bell peppers. Okay, but I'm adding a considerable amount to this. What I want is a lot of this moisture to leave the soup. Okay, I want the peppers to break down. I want these flavors to concentrate. Okay, and this is probably going to take an hour. Okay, but with everything that I've added, let me stir this. Okay, take a taste. That's really good. That is so clean tasting. With a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of pepper, man, it'd be over the top. This would be over the top. But this by itself is so clean tasting. It's so good. That cilantro, you got to put it in there, because it really does make a huge difference. I'm going to bring this back up to a boil, lower it so it's simmering, and I want this to lower at least maybe like an inch, right? As far as the liquid, I want to lose a lot of it, which is probably around maybe 16 ounces, okay, of liquid. I want to lose more of it. I want this to concentrate. And during that time, the corn's going to break down, cilantro's going to break down a little bit, peppers are going to break down, everything's going to break down. That's why I always get a kick out of this stuff. It's like, I'm going to make tortilla soup in 35 minutes. How are you going to do it right? You know, Also, if you want to add beans to this, you can. You can add black beans if you want. Typically, I'm a pinto bean kind of guy, right? So if you want to add beans, you can add beans. But bring this up to temperature and then let it reduce. And so I'll turn the camera back on maybe in another hour. So it's been reducing a little bit, and the chicken has cooled enough that I can tear it apart. We're not adding any of the skin or anything to this, just the meat itself, right? So we're just going to tear this apart and throw it in here. Now, after I'm done putting all of this meat and everything inside here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let it boil down even longer, believe it or not. I'm going to let this thicken up a little bit. I want to really concentrate a lot of these flavors. I want it to be thick. I want it to be where every time you get a spoonful of it, you know, you're getting some meat, you're getting a little bit of everything. There's nothing worse than a soup where it's mostly broth. You know, I hate that. Now that's just my preference. You don't have to do it. But I'm going to continue doing this. As soon as I'm finished, like I said, I'm going to let it boil for a while and taste it again to make sure that I've got all of the seasoning in there that I need to have. So it's been kind of simmering for a while after the chicken went in, and things are starting to dissolve, and you see that they're starting to become almost like a texture to the water, the broth. I actually want that to be broken down a little bit further, but I'm going to have an opportunity here, so I'm going to take some Colby Jack cheese. Longhorn is better when you're doing Mexican food. And we want the cheese to just kind of like be a hint of it there. We don't want to load this up. So I'm stirring it up and I'm letting it kind of just dissolve within the soup. Okay, that's really good. There's a little bit of acidity to it, but that's okay because we're going to be doing something to this in a little bit. I'm just waiting for some more of this liquid to kind of leave here. And then the final thing we'll add to it is going to ease that. It's going to turn this into amazing soup. And then we'll add our tortillas. But you know, a lot of people will actually put tortilla. We don't have to do that because we already put the maize in there. And it's ultimately a tortilla that just hasn't been turned into a tortilla yet. So it's got that flavor. But we want its texture. And it's awesome. What we're going to do is we're actually just going to put broken tortilla chips inside here on an individual basis. You don't put it in the soup. You put it in the bowl. Right? Because this shit is going to end up like becoming too soggy if you do it the other way. But it's great. So let's go ahead and let this reduce a little bit more. So this has been kind of stewing around a little bit. And you can see that we've got everything that's kind of broken up in there. And that's good. That's what we're looking for. I kind of, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. I kind of would like to have the soup, the broth, a little thicker, but it is what it is. So what we're going to add to this to take some of that acidity away is sour cream. Okay, so not all of it, just enough to kind of take the edge off and give this a little bit more flavor. So typically the way that I serve this, not that it really matters, right, is stir it up so that way you get all sorts of things suspended within the broth. Okay, if you want to put a dollop of sour cream on here, you can. Now what I do for the tortillas, like I said before, I use tortilla chips. Okay, you can crumble them up and throw in there. You can use strips. You can do whatever. We have the masa already inside here, so it's already got that flavor. We've got the corn in there. It's got the flavor already. Okay. Now, if you want to use corn tortillas inside this to make it whatever, go for it. Ain't gonna hurt my feelings. But this right here is satisfactory. This is gonna work. You want to put a little more cilantro or maybe some green onions, go for it. Now, I'm not really supposed to be having this much corn, to tell you the truth. So let me take a little bit of this There's a bunch of cheese, and I'm a cheese guy, and I'm not supposed to have a lot of cheese either. But let me try some of this. It's boiling. You're going to have to give me a second. I have to blow on this shit. That's really good. And that sour cream just takes away a lot of that acidity. But it also just makes the flavor of this so much richer. That's really good. And like I said before, if you want to put your garlic and onion and black pepper, you can. Not a big deal. I simply can't. The longer the chips stay in here, the more flexible they become. So it's fine. Just it only takes about a minute. But you'll see all of those chilies have like dissolved into small pieces. The bell peppers have dissolved. Cilantro you can't even see anymore. The chicken has dissolved into strips like this. So it makes everything real nice and thick, and every spoonful you get, there's something in it. This is really good. But anyway, guys, that's that. I'm going to go ahead and slam this. I think I'm going to go watch a movie. But that's how I make my tortilla soup. Granted, you're saying, where's the tortilla? So you can put some tortillas in there if you want. I just like putting the corn chips in there. And this already tastes like tortilla soup because we put the masa in it. Okay, so anyway, that's how I make it. Whether you make it like that or not, doesn't matter to me. That's how I make it. Really good. You should try it. And until next time, fools, I'll talk to you later.